Good afternoon from Cornwall, and we're now heading to the legendary home of King Arthur, which is the Tintagel Castle. This is one of the rural roads in Cornwall, and over there we could see the scenery of the Cornish countryside. And finally, we've arrived at Tintagel Castle, and we could see the writing, English Heritage, Tintagel Castle, Castel Tintagel, which is in Cornish. And we're now heading to the legendary home of King Arthur. And over there we could see an old church, if I'm not mistaken. We're approaching the legendary home of King Arthur, and over there we could see the ruins of the Tintagel Castle, but not quite. That great big stone is, I don't know what that is, maybe it's part of the ruins. And over there are the flowers. This is an information board about the Tintagel Castle, and the castle is that structure in front of me, just over there. Tintagel was an important citadel and port between the 5th and the 7th centuries of the Common Era, and was probably the seat of Cornish kings. Later abandoned, the site became well known in the 12th century when Geoffrey of Monmouth wrote his History of the Kings of Britain, telling the legend of how an ancient king called Arthur was conceived at Tintagel. A century later, Richard, Earl of Cornwall, built a medieval castle, choosing this site because of its links to Cornish kings and the stories of Arthur. And if I'm not mistaken, there's an old church standing somewhere over there, which date back to the early stages, the era of the early stage of the spread of Christianity in the British Isles. Over there is the bridge which leads visitors to this castle. Not really castle, but the ruins of this castle. And below us is the beach, full of visitors. And over there we could see the caves, a small cave during the Victorian period, there was an interest in stories about King Arthur that led artists and poets such as Lord Alfred Tennyson to visit this castle. This cave on the beach is known as Merlin's Cave because of the famous scene in Tennyson's Idylls of the King. Over there is another part of the castle's ruins. Not really, but the ruins are here. We're now in Merlin's Cave now. This is a natural cave, but according to the legend of King Arthur, not really the legend of King Arthur, but something else, a book inspired by the legend of King Arthur. This is purported to be the place of Merlin. And here we could see the marvellous views of the cave. Here at another attraction, which is the St. Michael's Mount, and St. Michael's Mount is the structure which is behind me. These are people's houses around St. Michael's Mount. Some are holiday homes, not all are houses, if I'm not mistaken. And this structure in front of me is St. Michael's Mount, the English equivalent of Mont Saint-Michel. It's not really the English equivalent, but it has a similar structure. I just found out that this town is called Marazion. You could see the structure in front of me. It's an island. It's a castle on an island. Human beings have been inhabitants of the island in front of me since 6,000 years ago, approximately, and the structure in front of me has been standing since 3,700 years ago, which was way before Christianity. And over there's a bird. And the structure in front of me, the modern structure, or what is it called? The current format of this structure is a castle which has been standing since the 12th century. These are the houses of the inhabitants of Marazion, although not all of these are houses. Some are holiday homes, if I'm not mistaken. Yet again, another house. we could hear the sound of the waves. And over there is the structure, which is now called St. Michael's Mount. According to some historians, in the 9th century, an old church was built on the island. And a monastic community was thriving there. But all historians are sure that this current format of the structure was built after the Normans conquered England. It's called St. Michael's Mount. Yet again, we could see houses. I don't know whether they are houses or holiday homes. And we could also see the flag of Cornwall, the local flag. This is the centre of town, and this is the main street, and over there is the Marazion Hotel. This is the A39 road, and this road is called the Atlantic Highway. This portion of the A39 road goes through the north coast of Cornwall, which is part of UK's Atlantic coast, which is part of England's Atlantic coast. This is the town of Port Isaac. This town is one of the tourist towns in the north coast of Cornwall. Over there, there's a sign called, not called. Over there are people's houses. Some of them are holiday homes. And this is the town of Port Isaac. Yet again, people...
In 200 yards, turn left.
Yet again, people's houses.
Turn left. Then, turn left.
This is the bay near Port Isaac. And over there we could see holiday homes. Yet again, holiday homes. This is a tourist town in Cornwall. Yet again, another holiday home. And over there, it's the Atlantic Ocean. And if you go further, you would have arrived in Ireland. This is a holiday home for sale, or a house, I don't know. We're walking down to the town centre of Port Isaac. Over there is another property, either someone's house or a holiday home, I don't know. This
Turn left.
We're approaching the town centre now, and in front of us is a hotel and restaurant, the Old School. And this is a fish and chip bar. We're no longer in Cornwall now. We're in another county, which is Devon. It's the county to the east of Cornwall. And over there is, it's not a lighthouse, but it's something else. And over there we could see the sea. This is called the Heartland Point. And over there we could see a small island. It's called Lundy. Over there we could see the lighthouse. However, the lighthouse is not open to public. That's a great big rock. Over there are cliffs. Over there we could see sheep, a flock of sheep. Over there is the Coast Guard office. And this is the rocky seaside of the north coast of Devon. And this piece of land is called the Heartland Peninsula. And here I am now in the English city of Exeter. And this structure in front of me is the Exeter Cathedral. This cathedral was built during the Norman era, and this building survived the Protestant Reformation. And now it's the seat of the Anglican Diocese of Exeter, the Church of England Diocese of Exeter.
Turn left.
This magnificent building was purported to be the site of a Roman fort, which was built around the year 50 of the Common Era. And these are the statues of saints. This is the facade of the Exeter Cathedral. Over there are more buildings in the city of Exeter, and over there we could see a shopping centre, the Guildhall. Over there we could see shops. Today, Exeter is the capital of the county of Devon. This structure in front of me is part of the Rougemont Castle, or the Exeter Castle. This is some office, I don't know. Over there we could see the city centre. And next to the castle is some kind of office, I don't know. This structure in front of me was built by the Normans on the orders of William the Conqueror. This castle was built 2 years after the Normans conquered England. And here we could see the footsteps of the Normans in England. One in the east, which is in Hastings, and the other one in the west, which is here in what is now called Exeter. This castle is not in ruins. However, this is still part of the castle, part of the... it's not ruins, but it's called the remains. And the castle is somewhere over there. And now it's something else. Maybe an office, or I don't know. And this is the Rougemont Gardens. This castle was built on an existing Roman site, which was a wall, a city wall, built by the Romans several years after they conquered the British Isles. Not really the British Isles, but Great Britain. And over there is the Exeter Library. It's not very far from the Exeter University. That's why there's a library here. Inside, filming is not allowed. We're on the A30 road and we're going back to Hampshire, to Fleet. And that's it for today. That's it for now. See you in some other location.